Okay. First off, like my team said, we are talking about cases that are only in California, and also there was a lot of facts that were brought up that didn't have sources, so I just wanted to state that. As well as another thing that was not defended by our opponents was our off case, which is to mend it, not end it, which I think is very important in this case. Our opponents are saying that it'll save a lot of money by doing this. Our off case, which I'll just briefly go over one more time, is that we would streamline the appeal process and make it a requirement for defense attorneys to make the case. This makes time go by. This will make it a lot faster, a lot less time that we will be paying for people on death row. We would also switch to from a 3-drug injection to a 1-drug, which will also smash their cruel and unusual punishment, because by one quick drug, it's one drug done, and then also our third one that we didn't really get to touch on that much is amend it for the safety of lives in California. Criminals, this is one thing that we have against them. We have one thing to negotiate with criminals. If someone, like our example, I believe his name was Richard, somebody who stabbed someone 70 times, slit their throat, and threw them into a river. If we don't have something to negotiate with a murderer like that, if you confess and tell us who helped you, all these things, there's nothing. A life in prison for some of those people might be a luxury. 3 meals a day, paid health care, that could be a much better life than they're living right now on the streets. If we don't have a death penalty as a negotiation for those murderers, we're never going to have anything to, there's no real punishment for them. Let's see. And I'm sorry. But like I said, there were a lot of numbers thrown out that didn't ever really have sources for. The cost of the death penalty is only 1% of the CDCR's entire budget, and by the fixes that the mending it, not ending it that we provided with you guys, it would cut down the costs, and it would also make it more constitutional for everybody.
Okay, now I finished our opening constructives and we move to our first rebuttal. And Nick, you have 4 minutes to tell us your voters and why you're winning.
Okay.
No arguments.
Okay. So I'm here to tell you why our team has won this argument. It's shown that Prop 34 should not be passed, and yet it should just be the broken system that is the death penalty should be amended, not ended. As we go to contention 1, that was no more innocent people will have their life taken away. They had no proof or evidence of a California case. This is Prop 34 just for California, so we were only arguing about California. Whatever happens in Georgia, Texas, Florida, that's their business. We are in California. Jerry Brown, our governor, has stated to the San Francisco DA that no one has been proven innocent on death row or past execution. There's been 14 executions since 1979 from the CDCR audit report in 2009. 14 have been executed since 1979. So that's the first contention that we won on. There was no rebuttal to that. Contention 2. Contention 2, $1 million of state money will be saved by passing Prop 34. Let's link to more money. Again, the CDCR audit report from 2011 showed that $137 million is the budget for death row, and that is 1% of their budget, making it 0.1% for California's budget. By executing these people, you're actually saving $57,389 a year on each inmate. In the long run, if you keep executing that money, that $57,000 that you spend, giving them 3 meals a day, health care, a place to sleep, that could be going towards law enforcement solving unsolved rape and murder cases. So long run, Prop 34, it seems like it's short term. We're looking at long term, by amending the death penalty, we're saving money, and that can go to law enforcement. Contention 3, death penalty is unconstitutional for cruel and unusual punishment. That's why also in the amended don't end it, we stated go from 3 lethal drug doses to 1, just like other states. Ohio, in their report as from 2009, has executed 14 people. California, 14 people since 1979. So obviously, the death penalty system needs to be fixed in California. It needs to be fixed so taxpayers, the Californians, the money's going on the right things, like schools, law enforcement, solving cases like that. If you go to 1 drug, it's not cruel and punishment, there's no chemical reaction, it's a slow, painless death. And then lastly, our last contention was that they didn't rebuttal on was if you take away the death penalty, there's no severe consequence. There's no plea bargain. There's no plea bargain if I murder someone, they say, if you plead guilty right now, we'll give you life in prison. If not, we go to trial, then, and you're found guilty, you have death penalty. Well, guess what? That trial costs money, and it doesn't come from them, it comes from the taxpayers, because attorneys are hired by the state. So you take away the death penalty, there's no plea bargain. Every murder is going to go to trial no matter what, and that's all going to cost money. So Prop 34 says that it's saving money, but it isn't. Okay? Do you really think Richard Allen Davis thought about cruel and unusual punishment before he kidnapped, raped, and murdered 12-year-old Polly Klaas? Or what about Robert Rhodes? He raped, tortured Michael Lyons, stabbed him 70 times and dumped him in the river. Really think that he thought about cruel and unusual punishment? So that's why, with all this here and not enough facts or evidence rebutting, I stand here saying that we won this argument. Thank you.
Referring back to our primary criterion, the death penalty is an injustice to California state law. We have cited and defined specific examples and cases of injustice in the death penalty cases, as well as provided you with benefits of the death penalty being added into California law, and the justice that can be served by the additional government funding acquired by the passage of this law. By showing you these examples, we, the government, have won this debate. They're off-case set to amend it, not end it, streamlining that the trial process will cost more money. The drugs injected are going to cause no pain, but our point was justice, and it is not justice to take person's life. The way we defined justice was it's justice being served through your case. So taking someone's life isn't serving justice to them. Another thing is there's no proof of evidence in California, and they've said that there's been 14 people executed since 1979, when 13 people have been executed since 1967 and none since 2006. And they've spent $4 billion on only the 13 people that have been executed. And that's from SaveCalifornia.org. This is a direct waste of millions of dollars to house the people on death row, because most inmates stay an average on death row for 25 years before dying of old age. And then the next contention was that we would have a short-term saving money, but actually it would be $100 million a year that would be divided up between law enforcement, violence prevention, and teachers in schools. And according to SaveCalifornia.org, again, the $30 million would be put back into investigations of rapes and murder. And this gives California budget a small boost each year to help solve these murders, because there's over 700 criminals today in prison with trials going on, and each trial is costing $130 million. So spending money on death row inmates while they're waiting for their sentence makes them safer than they are outside the jail. So we need more money to be spent on crimes that are just dropped because they don't have enough money to afford it. So therefore, giving an eye for an eye may seem right to the families involved, but it is too expensive for California to afford, and that money should be used to solve rape and murder cases. This is why Prop 34 is known as the Savings Accountability and Full Enforcement Act. And that was all.